In this video, I'm going to show you how to place the rear outer brake hose on this Honda Pilot. This goes from the rear brake line on the trailing arm down to the rear caliper through this banjo bolt. Let's get started. With a 22mm socket, remove all 5 lug nuts and then we'll pull the wheel off. Now with the wheel off, we can see the brake hose that goes from this intermediate brake line down to the brake caliper. The first thing I want to do is see if this fitting breaks free. So use a 10mm wrench, preferably a flare nut wrench, so we can see if the line is stuck to the fitting or not. Hopefully not. Okay, so the threads broke free and it looks like the fitting is spinning. That is great. A lot of times what happens is the line will get stuck on the fitting. I'm working it back and forth here, by the way. And if it gets stuck to the fitting, when you turn this, it'll want to twist the line with it and break it. Now you can overcome that by turning the hose and basically unthreading the hose off of the line, but that can be a little bit more difficult. So what I will do now is pause. We'll go to the other end of the hose, we'll swap it on the caliper side, and then we'll come back here and swap it over here. So with a collection bucket underneath, use a 14mm socket or wrench and break the banjo bolt free that goes through the hose and clamps the hose onto the caliper. Brake fluid will leak here at this point. Take that out, let that caliper drain. Inspect your banjo bolt, make sure any copper washers didn't get stuck to it. Mine is good to go, it's not stretched, it's not twisted, so I can reuse it. At this point, to slow down the flow of brake fluid, I'm going to pinch this old hose off with some pliers. Finish removing the hose from the caliper. Set that aside, and as you can see, there is one washer that stayed on here, so we're going to have to get that off of there. There are a few ways that you can do this. I found that with some pliers, if you just grab it and pinch it, it'll pop right off. Inspect the area and make sure it's clean. Take the banjo bolt and a new copper washer that's provided with your brake hose and slide that washer onto the base of the banjo bolt. Now take your brake hose and take note that this has a slight bend to it. You want it to bend upwards towards the caliper, not away from the caliper. So put the banjo bolt through, and then on the other side, sandwich another copper washer right over that hose. And then we'll install this on the caliper, making sure that the hose goes right in the slot that is provided for it on the caliper. Snug this up. And let's torque this to 25 foot-pounds. All right, these two copper washers have squished a little bit. That's exactly what we want to create that nice tight seal. Use brake parts cleaner to rinse off the brake fluid that dripped down here. That way we can detect any potential leaks. At this point, I like to have my bleeder screw already open when I connect the hose on the other end. So I'm gonna pop off this cap, and with a 10mm wrench, I'm gonna break the bleeder screw free. This will start the gravity bleed process as soon as I connect the hose. Now back up here, let's break this fitting free and remove it. Once I'm almost at the end, what I'm going to do is remove this clip that locks in the brake hose. That way the brake hose can be ready to come out. I'm going to grab this with some pliers, twist it, and take it right off. Finish unthreading the fitting. And there is the old brake hose. Take the new brake hose and line it up with this bracket. Just do the best you can for now. Let's reconnect the line so it stops leaking, and then we'll take care of locking in the brake hose. In order to fully line up, this brake hose has to turn a little bit, so I'll gently grab it with pliers and twist it. That's locked in, so I'll put the clip back over. There we go. And we'll finish tightening up this fitting. Okay, that just bottomed out. I'll grab my other wrench. This one is less likely to strip out the fitting. Give it about 1/8 of a turn after it bottoms out. That's plenty. Same over here, rinse it down with brake parts cleaner so we can get rid of any brake fluid that remains. Now we'll do what we call a gravity bleed, and that is gravity pulling fluid through the line into the caliper and pushing all the air out of the bleeder screw. This should take care of most, if not all, of the air that's in the system. However, if you need to do a full manual brake bleed, you'll see how to do that at the end of the video, which will definitely get rid of any air that's potentially stuck in there. Looks like we got our steady trickle of fluid here, so I'm going to close this off. Going to use some brake parts cleaner to rinse all this down. Once everything is cleaned off and dried up, cap off the bleeder screw again so it doesn't get clogged up. All right, let's get the wheel back on. We'll put on all 5 lug nuts, bottom them out in a cross pattern, and then also in a cross pattern, we'll torque them to 94 foot-pounds. Once again, 94 foot-pounds in a cross pattern, here we go. Double check them. Pump up the brake pedal, top off the master cylinder, and take it for a road test. On the driver's side of your engine compartment, right behind the air intake housing, you're going to notice you have a brake master cylinder right here, which, if you remove the cap and turn it counterclockwise and read it closely, takes .3 or .4 brake fluid. We want to make sure we have that on hand. I'm going to set the cap aside. Now, if this wasn't a brand new master cylinder and did not have brand new brake fluid in it, what I would do is with the cap off, I would remove this little screen in here, and then with a fluid transfer pump or a vacuum pump of some sort that can remove fluid, I would remove as much of the old brake fluid as I can. Once again, this is brand new fluid that I just put in here, so I'm not going to take it out, and we'll assume that the brake fluid has already been removed. At that point, we would want to top it off. Careful when you do this so you don't spill. And we'll fill it up all the way to the max line, which it is full. Right now you can see the max line on the side of the reservoir right here. And I'm going to cap it back off. The bleeding sequence on this vehicle is starting at the left front, that's the driver's side front caliper. Then you move over to the right front. Then you top off the master cylinder to make sure it's full. Then you move straight back to the right rear caliper and then over to the left rear to finish it off. At that point, you'd top off the master cylinder again. Okay, I have an assistant in the vehicle ready to help me pump the brakes and bleed the brakes. I also have this collection receptacle with a hose on it so I can connect it to my bleeder screw. We are at the left front caliper. This is the first one we're going to start with, as I mentioned. So let's remove the bleeder screw cap, and we'll have a 10mm wrench ready to open up the bleeder screw. Go ahead and pump the brakes, please. All right, they're holding pressure, so I'm going to connect this. I'm going to open it up.
Floor.
All right, it hit the floor, so I'm going to close this off. Go ahead and pump again, and we're going to repeat this until we have no air bubbles and clean fluid coming out of the bleeder screw.
Holding. Floor.
Okay, go again.
Holding. Floor. Holding. Floor. Holding. Floor.
Okay.
Holding. Floor. Holding. Floor.
I like it. Let's do it one more time. Go again.
Holding. Floor.
Perfect. You can let go of the brake pedal now. I'm getting no air bubbles out of this. Clean brake fluid, so I'm going to remove this. We'll wipe off any brake fluid that may have dripped and then cap it off. Next, we'll move over to the right front and do the same exact thing. And then, of course, top off the master cylinder, and then we'll move to the right rear. Remove the cap off the master cylinder, top it off, and cap it back off. I've topped off the master cylinder, and I'm at the right rear wheel. This is our third caliper. Gonna remove the bleeder screw cap, put my wrench on there. Same 10mm wrench as before, and my collection receptacle with a hose. Go ahead and pump.
Holding.
Okay, holding pressure.
Floor.
All right, hit the floor. Go ahead and pump again.
Holding. Floor.
Same thing, we're gonna go until we see clean fluid and no air bubbles.
Holding. Floor. Holding. Floor.
Okay.
Holding. Floor. Holding. Floor. Holding. Floor.
Okay, you can let go of the brake pedal. This fluid is definitely lighter in color now, so I'm gonna remove my collection receptacle and my wrench. I'm going to use some brake parts cleaner to rinse this off. With it dried up, cap it off, and let's do the last caliper, that being the left rear. Now let's top off the master cylinder one last time, take the cap off, fill it, and then cap it back off. And if you think you need to bleed more, go again in the same sequence until you're happy with the brake pedal feel and there's no air bubbles coming out of the bleeder screws.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.